Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today we'll be doing a exhibition best of 3 battle in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I'm going to be going up against Joe UX9, who is a well-known competitor and content creator. He was ranked #1 in championship points in North America back a few years ago and has won regional championships as well. And overall just makes some really high-quality content, is really one of the most active creators in the space. So first of all, I've linked his YouTube and Twitch channel down in the description below. Please go check him out. If you're interested in playing the BDSP meta in particular, Joe's very, very good. He's been practicing a lot and been making very good content around it as well. So thank you to Joe for agreeing to do this battle with me. I'm going to be using a pretty cool Rain hybrid team that a player called Will let me borrow for a couple of days. I'm still working on getting some of my own teams built in-game, but, you know, I wanted to just get some BDSP content out there, and I think this team is really, really neat. So there's a paste for it in the description below. The 6 Pokemon are Payapa, Kingdra, Raichu, Togekiss, Scizor, and Venusaur. These are all Pokemon that we've used in Sword and Shield before, but, you know, this metagame is obviously very different. The Venusaur in particular is quite interesting. It's Payapa Berry with Sleep Powder and Leech Seed. And, you know, Venusaur is quite nice with Pelipper support. It's Overgrow Venusaur as well. But it's quite nice with Pelipper support and the Payapa Berry because you basically get rid of the main weaknesses, right? Pelipper really helps solve its Fire-type weakness, and then Payapa Berry helps solve its Psychic-type weakness. Now, obviously, you still have to deal with Flying-type attacks, but it's generally really, really helpful. So the idea is to try to sweep with Pokemon like Kingdra. Scizor can Swords Dance up and get some boosts off. Raichu is really good support with Lightning Rod and just like Nuzzle and Thunder as well. So yeah, thank you so much as always for watching. If you enjoyed, please share support by leaving a like on the video. Question of the day: I want to know what teams you're currently trying out in BDSP, either just in-game, in singles, or in VGC. Let me know in the comment section below, and let's get started. Alright, our first match here against Joe, and he's got a pretty cool team of Jumpluff, Azumarill, Raikou, Tyranitar, Heatran, and Hitmontop. So Raikou is typically going to be light clay with screens, I think. I do have a fast fake out in Raichu for it, so we can bring that. Kingdra is generally valuable here. I think for game 1, I like Raichu Kingdra as a lead, with Pelipper in the back for sure. And then who do I want as the 4th Pokemon? If I'm Joe, who do I bring? I would think Hitmontop, Raikou, Tyranitar, Azumarill, which would make Venusaur a pretty strong bring here, actually, to deal with Azumarill and T-Tar. I guess Scizor is also not terrible against Azumarill and T-Tar. But I think the Venusaur set here is pretty fun, so I'm gonna go with that. Okay, let's see how this plays out. Jumpluff is really interesting, and that's the main Pokemon I'm, like, curious about, just because it wasn't really used way back in the day, and it's Jumpluff Azumarill, so I'm sure it's just gonna be, what, Rage Powder into Belly Drum turn 1? Okay. We have Focus Sash on Raichu, though, which is handy here. For example, I could Volt Switch. If I had to guess, it's Focus Sash on the Jumpluff here. I mean, I don't mind Volt Switch into Skull to KO Jumpluff. I guess the question is actually whether or not that KO is. Probably not. Maybe Volt Switch into Draco then. Okay. Yeah, I'm fine going for Volt Switch and Draco. KO Jumpluff, and then we can bring in Venusaur, and Venusaur walls Azumarill decently well here. Is it a double protect? Okay. At first I thought he went, yeah, wow. I thought he was just gonna go for the Belly Drum with the Azumarill immediately. That would have been wild. I just really think right now I'd want to eliminate Jumpluff sooner than later. So I'm fine going for Volt Switch and Draco into it again. I guess I could go for a Sleep Powder right now. Like, that's one of my primary concerns. Just because the Rage Powder play... It does get Rage Powder in this game, right? Or does that not actually exist? I'm not sure. I'm assuming it does. Also, Azumarill could just go for a Play Rough onto Kingdra. That's another thing to consider right now. I think Volt Switch and Scald KO's Jumpluff. Nah, I wouldn't count on it. Okay, I'm just gonna Volt Switch Draco. Okay. Honestly, I think I'd rather bring in Pelipper right now because I'm really nervous about getting hit by a Sleep Powder by Jumpluff. Yeah. Now, this does mean a potential free switching into the Tyranitar, but that's okay. With Dynamic Speed, Kingdra gets the speed boost immediately, which is nice. Okay, we don't miss Raikou. That's great. I don't really know what Jumpluff does in this gen. It's my first time seeing it, so it's pretty cool. Okay, we eliminate that. If I had to guess, it's just Protect Belly Drum, Aqua Jet, Play Rough on Azumarill here. Do we see a Belly Drum, or is it just a Play Rough on a Kingdra? Okay, it's just Play Rough. Yeah, that makes sense. If I had to guess, it was Play Rough plus Sleep Powder coming out that turn. Kingdra is one of my primary attackers, so it doesn't feel amazing. Let's see Tyranitar coming in. The issue with Tyranitar coming in is it would break my Focus Sash. So I think I'd rather go into Venusaur first here. Yep, there's T-Tar. Okay, so that makes this very interesting, because Venusaur is quite good against both of these Pokemon, but I have lost Weather Control. I've got Leaf Storm, obviously, which is rather powerful right now. Don't really need a Tailwind, I think. I kind of want to double up on a Tyranitar here with a Skull and a Leaf Storm, honestly. Because I think me switching out Pelipper seems fairly obvious, and I think Tyranitar might be willing to just go for a Rock Slide here. Now, maybe Tyranitar protects, but Azumarill doesn't scare me as much with Venusaur out right now. So, I'm not a double up in a T-Tar. Just because if we can eliminate Tyranitar, that means we also gain Weather Control in the late game. But I think what's really awkward right now is my Sash will probably be broken on the Raichu because... Okay, they don't switch out, so... Or protect. So we get the Leaf Storm off. Okay. I don't know if Scald actually finishes it off here. If not, that's a problem. Let's see. Okay. Okay, we get the KO. Nice. So that's nice. It's probably Belly Drum now from Azumarill, if I had to guess. Nope, just to play rough. Onto Venusaur. Oh, okay, I'll take it. That works very well for us, then, I would argue. Okay, so we have Raichu with Thunder in the back. We just eliminated Tyranitar, which is the main weather Pokemon on my opponent's team, so I can get Rain up for the remainder of the match, which is good. What's my opponent's final Pokemon? It's Heatran. Okay. So with Heatran coming out, I think what I want to do here is switch out Pelipper into Raichu. I do think this is a good time to go for Sleep Powder, but because I think if we hit it, we just win the game. Because then the subsequent turn, I could just switch out the Raichu. Well, actually, I guess they could play Rough Pelipper in this position. But I'm going to go for the Sleep Powder into Heatran here, I think. This allows me to regain Weather Control for the remainder of the match. Obviously reduces Heatran's damage output as well. Sleep Powder does connect. Okay, that's huge. It's always a little bit nerve-wracking using that. Okay. And they are going to play rough. Yeah, okay, into the... So, I mean, I do lose Raichu here, which makes Venusaur's endgame position a little bit awkward. Could have been worthwhile to switch out the other way, like Venusaur out into Raichu. Then I take a Heat Wave. So what's interesting in this game is I've gone for a lot of like burst damage kind of trades, right? But I think getting Pelipper in for free here is pretty worthwhile. Just because Venusaur walls the Azumarill decently well here. So this next turn I'm contemplating a double up onto Azumarill because Pelipper should win against Heatran. Oh, Heatran is asleep actually, I guess, so... It's taken one turn of sleep though, right? And Azumarill could play rough or just play rough the Pelipper right now. So actually, I think I have to double up onto Azumarill. It's just a question of, like, there's Citrus Berry, so I'm nervous about, like, not picking up the knockout. What I could do here is actually protect. And then Leaf Storm the Azumarill. So then the next turn I can double up onto it again. I like that, I think, just because I'm not in much danger of getting knocked out by Venusaur. Unless they Belly Drum here, which would be a really impressive play. Okay, we missed. I don't love that. And it is just play rough. Okay, so with the miss now, I lean more towards going... I just don't want to rely on Sleep Powder. I could have gone for Sludge Bomb there instead. That may have just been better. thing is, I could click Sleep Powder right now, but if we miss the Sleep Powder, I feel like I just immediately lose. So I think I'm going to just Leaf Storm and Hurricane here into the Azumarill. And I'll see how much damage it does. Okay, this one does connect. It's good damage, but I think there's Citrus here. So then the question is whether or not to play Rough would KO the Pelipper. Hurricane also gives me a confusion chance, obviously, but I think it should survive this, unfortunately. Yeah, I think if we had hit that, then I could have just safely Sludge Bomb, but I think 2 Sludge Bombs would have done it. It definitely would have done it. Okay, so Heatran does stay asleep for another turn, but if we feign to play Rough, we'll lose here anyway. But we end up dodging now. Wow. Okay, so I can obviously Scald Heatran now, and just Sludge Bomb into Azumarill. I think I misplayed by going for Leaf Storm rather than Sludge Bomb earlier, because like 2 Sludge Bombs, Sludge Bomb into Hurricane was a knockout onto Azumarill. I just was not 100% sure about my damage calcs here. Okay, yep, Azumarill goes for Protect. That makes sense. Having Damp Rock here, by the way, is super, super nice for the end game. Could have gone for Leech Seed onto Heatran, but I just don't find that worth it. And the fact that we outspeed Heatran right now is also very, very nice, and that's almost a one-hit KO. Okay, so they're guaranteed to wake up now, and it's actually Flash Cannon. Okay. We hang on with 1 HP, no way. Okay. Well, I'm fine to just Hurricane Azumarill here, because we should always win the 1v1 against Heatran. They had just protected. Guess I'll Leech Seed. Well, actually, there's no reason to reveal Leech Seed right now, I think. Yeah, it's a pretty integral part of this set. Yeah, so there's Aqua Jet. I could have targeted the Heatran slot here, but what I didn't want them to do is protect Heatran. And I just, like, I don't think Heatran is a way to hit Pelipper. Pelipper is actually probably one of the best Pokemon in the format to deal with it, because you wall it with... Like, Heatran typically runs Earth Power, Flash Cannon, Flamethrower / Heat Wave, maybe Sub. So, yeah, it's just Flash Cannon here. But really critical to know that Pelipper outspeeds the Heatran here, as well as the Tyranitar. I think that actually is a very big deal in this matchup. So, yeah, this was not the cleanest of games. Like, I had a little bit of good fortune, right? Like, Heatran stayed asleep for 3 turns. That was a really big deal. We hung on with 1 HP. And then they, of course, missed the play rough there in the end as well. Granted, we missed the Leaf Storm, but I think I don't love how this game played out just because, like, I didn't need to rely on a play rough miss if I had just connected with the Sludge Bomb earlier. So I should have just gone for Sludge Bomb initially. But I think I generally felt pretty good about the Pokemon that I brought in that one. So then the question is, do I really have a good argument to bring the 2 that I didn't bring, which were Scizor and Togekiss? And I'm not 100% sure about it. Yeah, I just, like, still don't really know Jumpluff's moveset here. I'm assuming Sleep Powder for sure. They never went for Belly Drum on Azumarill, but I think it just has to be Belly Drum with Hitmontop and Jumpluff on the team. So, how do I feel about the Jumpluff Azumarill lead? What's my best counter into it? I mean, they double protected turn 1. Raichu and Scizor would be interesting because I could, like, fake out into Swords Dance, but I really do think here I have to respect Sleep Powder from Jumpluff. Which is why the Raichu Kingdra lead was actually incredibly effective. However, I can just lead Venusaur as well. That would be quite a good counter into Raichu plus Jumpluff, or sorry, Jumpluff plus Azumarill specifically. That's actually pretty intriguing. I've got Lum on Scizor as well, actually. That can be really important. Do you bring Heatran again? Because Hitmontop, I was expecting Hitmontop over Heatran last game. So, like, this could be a game for me to bring the Scizor. Like, I think they clearly brought Heatran to deal with Scizor. I didn't bring it, so now maybe they feel more comfortable bringing it. But it makes me almost want to lead with Raichu plus Scizor. Because I could fake out Swords Dance, and we have got Lumberry here. The only awkward thing is it means dropping something, and, like, all of our Pokemon are pretty valuable here. Right? I don't mind mixing it up here just because I think Scizor can be really good, and if they don't bring Heatran, we can punish them super heavily. I'm just debating between Kingdra and Venusaur here. I'm gonna go with Kingdra. The reason I'm going with Kingdra here is because this time I have Scizor, so Scizor handles the Venusaur, or Azumarill a little bit better. It's Raikou and Azumarill, okay. Cool, I'm okay with that. I could Fake Out plus Swords Dance relatively easily. Okay, Raikou's an interesting adjustment. Venusaur actually is also pretty good against that. Raikou, Azumarill, Hitmontop. Do you even bring Tyranitar now? That's another interesting part of the question. I could also straight up just go for Thunder onto Azumarill turn 1. Well, actually, if you're my opponent here... Okay, Raikou has Inner Focus, right? So I can't flinch it. The obvious play for me then to make is to fake out Azumarill and Swords Dance. I think I'm okay with that. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. Okay, they don't protect Azumarill. Reflect or Thunderbolt? Oh, it's actually Snarl. Okay. So here's the awkward thing. We don't have X Scizor. We actually have U-turn on Scizor. It should be X Scizor. Which means... like, you know, I can't really deal that much damage into Raikou effectively right now. Okay, I'm fine with that Snarl, though. I actually think that's a decent outcome for us, all things considered. What do I want to do now? Azumarill could go for the crazy belly drum play. Not really a risk of taking too much damage right now. I honestly think it might be worth going for a U-turn here anyway. Volt Switch into Azumarill. Because if we can, like, just eliminate Raikou, that really opens the game for us, in my opinion. Okay, they go for Reflect. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we'll switch this out. Oh, is that a crit? That's got to be a crit. Yeah, I definitely had a lot of RNG in this matchup. I mean, now they can't even Belly Drum, which... I mean, truthfully, even if they got the Belly Drum off, like, they would be in KO range from a Bullet Punch. Like, I would just pivot the Scizor out and then back in, but that makes the game a lot easier for us to play, I think. I can go into Kingdra first, right? I don't need to force Pelipper out immediately yet. Especially because of dynamic speed. So, like, I can go into Kingdra and then just bring in the Raichu now. Okay, there's U-turn at +2. Not bad damage. So far, they've gotten Reflect and Snarl, so they haven't gone for a Light Screen yet, which means I can bring in Raichu now. Then I can actually just switch out into Pelipper next turn. Oh, wow. Okay, they actually went for Play Rough onto a Raichu slot. Nicely done. I should have thought about switching in Kingdra then a little bit more because of that specific play. Okay, nice execution. That was very nice. Okay. Losing Kingdra obviously is not amazing, because it's, I think, really, really good in this matchup, so that was a really nice play by them. That makes me feel better about the crit then, because it means it's not like it denied them a Belly Drum or anything. Azumarill protecting here seems fairly obvious. But I like the idea of Swords Dance and Volt Switch here anyway, I think. Okay, they just go for Aqua Jet onto Raichu, and then Snarl. I think that works for us. The play rough on a Kingdra was a fantastic play. Maybe he doesn't even have a Belly Drum. I think surely he does, but... Okay, we get the knockout onto Azumarill. What are the remaining Pokemon? Hitmontop, Jumpluff, Tyranitar, Heatran. We're looking pretty good into Tyranitar right now. Bring in Pelipper. Yeah, this is where I think if we had X Scizor, the game would definitely be a lot easier to play. It's also kind of awkward bringing in Pelipper right now, but I guess because Kingdra was eliminated already, it's fine. I should have switched in Pelipper for that slot, though. Yeah, I didn't really see that coming, and that was really well done. So I'm sure it's Snarl, Volt Switch / Thunderbolt on Raikou, and then dual screens with Light Clay. They've set up Reflect, but they haven't set up Light Screen. Tyranitar comes out. We know we're faster with Pelipper. But I think Dragon Dance from Tyranitar here is certainly a possible play. And they have Reflect up. See, Pelipper switching out into Raichu right now is like a super duper obvious play. So I could make a very bold play here and actually just go for a like Tailwind with Pelipper. I honestly want to do that because I feel like the Raichu switching is super obvious. I guess the issue with that play is if Heatran is actually my opponent's final Pokemon anyway, but I feel like if it were, it would have come out already right now. So here, honestly, don't mind taking a slightly riskier route and going for Tailwind, because if we get Tailwind up and it means Pelipper outspeeds Raikou, Okay, they don't protect Tyranitar. Does it survive Bullet Punch here? It does. Okay, that's fine. Cool. Light Screen goes up. Yeah, they didn't go for an electric type attack, which means I get Tailwind up, which is very, very nice for this end game, I would say. Is it a Dragon Dance or a Rock Slide here? Okay, it is just Rock Slide. Oh, this is going to be really close. Pelipper hanging on there is such a big deal, though. That's super clutch. Okay. I think with that, then I can just U-turn into Raikou. And Scald into Tyranitar. T-Tar switches, okay. That works for me. Into Heatran, okay, that's amazing. Fantastic. Get the Scald off. That's already really good. Fantastic. Oh wait, they're still faster. Oh, I messed that up then. Okay, I messed that up. I forgot Scizor would actually be slower than the Raikou here. Then the correct play, I think, was to just switch out into the Raichu slot. Okay, yeah, Scizor doesn't really have much speed investment here. So I think this will be pretty tough to win now. We'll probably need to get lucky with a para or two, because they have Light Screen up. And I survived one more turn of... Yeah, I just don't do any damage into Heatran with Scizor. Yeah, I should have remembered that Scizor was just not very speedy here and forgot that it wouldn't outspeed. Okay. Yeah, I think we just fake out Bullet Punch here. Well, I mean, I could Swords Dance, but... because it would punish a double protect here. I think I'm just going to go for Bullet Punch, though. Yeah, they don't protect, okay. Oh, but now Heatran can protect this next turn. That's smart. And then we're going to Faint from Sand. So, had I switched out the Raichu into... or sorry, the Pelipper out into Raichu, I think we would have won this game. Yeah, I should have just double checked the speed on Scizor, so that's important to remember. And I feel like throwing away the... okay, this is still winnable, though. It's a question of, would I rather go for a Thunder or just... I think we just go for Thunder Crit, because even if Nuzzle paras, like, we don't do any damage with Heatran anyway. But I think Heatran just protects here. Oh, they don't protect. Did they not have Protect then? That's my best guess. Otherwise, I think you should always Protect there. And Scizor is faster than Heatran, too. Interesting. Okay, so that was a lot of good information. This is a really fun set. And then it's Heat Wave. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think the main mistake in this game was letting Kingdra just go down to a play rough. Our lead was actually pretty good, but in my head was hard locked on him going for a Belly Drum instead. So yeah, that was a really close game. If Scizor had enough speed investment to outspeed Raikou there, then that was just a guaranteed win, because then you wouldn't KO the Pelipper, and then Pelipper could, you know, switch out and change the weather. But in that position, like, you know, one possible play if I switch out Pelipper is for the Tyranitar to just stay in and click Rock Slide anyway. So yeah, the margins have been super, super close in these matches. So the adjustment from him was Raikou plus Azumarill in that last game. I think Raichu is really good. I still don't really love Togekiss, so I'm fine not bringing it. We didn't bring Venusaur in the last one, and that would have been a very nice switch into Azumarill. But Kingdra would have been really good. I just didn't get anything off with it in the previous match. But, you know, there aren't that many water resists on his team. Scizor was okay, but it's the Reflect being awkward. And then, like, if you get Reflect up, I just don't do that much damage with U-turn. So, Raikou's pretty difficult to deal with here. I could go Raichu Venusaur. I think I like that a lot, actually. So, Raichu Venusaur, Pelipper Kingdra is what I'm thinking now. Because, like, the Venusaur, just Sleep Powder in itself gives us so much value. And with this, like, I guess the problem is they're almost guaranteed a Light Screen. But Light Screen isn't that scary if you're not doing much damage under it. Okay, let's go with this. Fun set, really, really fun set. And, like, that last game, you know, like, it feels a little bit bad to forget Scizor was slower there. Okay, so it's the same lead, yep. We also have Leech Seed, by the way, which can actually be very handy here. See, now I don't really want to switch out Raichu because I know... I think I'm fine to just fake out Azumarill turn 1 and then Sleep Powder into the Raikou. And here, even if we miss, it's not the end of the world. If we hit, it's amazing because Raikou is faster than the Venusaur, right? So then you really can't do anything in subsequent turns. But yeah, I think Raikou is one of the top Pokemon in the format at the moment. Okay, we get the fake out off. Venusaur actually dodges, which is pretty lucky. And actually, because of that, they didn't go for Light Screen, which could be a really big deal as well. They dodge, okay. I do think it's probably play rough into the Raichu slot here. So, I could, like, Thunder. I could Nuzzle. Nuzzle does put the odds, like, because then you have to attack through Para and hit the play rough. The odds are still in my opponent's favor there. It also means that then I can't click Sleep Powder into it. Volt Switch Sleep Powder into Azumarill is tempting. Got Pelipper and Kingdra in the back. Venusaur walls Azumarill. I think if I'm my opponent, I'm play roughing Raichu and then going for Snarl or Light Screen. And I don't want anything in the back to take a play rough, so I don't want a Volt Switch. Thunder is pretty high variance here. I'm going for Thunder and Leaf Storm. I don't like that because these are both pretty inaccurate attacks, but if we hit both, I mean, I feel like Azumarill just faints. Although we are at -2, so I'm not even sure about that. Okay. Thunder does connect here. I just really didn't want to Volt Switch out, so fortunate that we hit that. That's obviously the more inaccurate attack, but I don't think we're KOing with Azumarill at -1 right now with Leaf Storm anyway. But at least it denies them a potential Belly Drum, and then I can switch in Kingdra. And with Kingdra in, actually, then what I can do... Okay, Leaf Storm connects here. Ooh, that does get the knockout. That's huge. Okay, that's amazing, because it denies them. Yeah, like, I know it might seem a little bit awkward to go for that much, like, those inaccurate attacks, but the fact that we get the knockout there is such a big deal, because Azumarill was one of the largest offensive threats, and we know that my Venusaur outspeeds both the Heatran and the Tyranitar, right? So, what does this mean now? They're gonna have Tyranitar as their last Pokemon for sure. Raikou's faster than us, meaning we can always Volt Switch safely. I think I really like Volt Switch into Raikou. And then Sleep Powder into it as well. Volt Switch into Raikou. Raikou would probably Snarl first, that's fine. Then I get Pelipper in. Actually, maybe I want to bring Kingdra out. But yeah, I'm definitely down to target the Raikou here. Okay, they just go for another Snarl, that's fine. Okay. I think if we hit Sleep Powder here, we're in fantastic shape. And this time I have Kingdra to play towards in the end game, which is also very, very nice. And the key thing is, I don't mind Snarl. I think Light Screen's a little bit more annoying to deal with. So I could bring in Kingdra immediately, but I think even if I bring out Kingdra, then he's just going to switch Heatran out into Pelipper next turn anyway. Or sorry, Heatran into Tyranitar. So I'd rather just go into Pelipper to help my Venusaur potentially survive an attack this turn. And like, if we hit the Sleep Powder, then I can Tailwind with Pelipper, and then things like really start snowballing from there. So hopefully the second Sleep Powder connects, but we have used a lot of inaccurate attacks in this game. Okay, nice. This one hitting is so huge because now Raikou can't even attack this next turn. Fantastic. And it's just a Heat Wave. Beautiful. That is a dream turn for us, I would say. Okay. No burns. Great. Now what do we want to do? I think Venusaur switching out feels okay. We should start getting damage on the board as well, though. You could switch Raikou out into Tyranitar, you could protect Heatran, you could switch Heatran out into Tyranitar. I don't mind going for a Tailwind here, and then switching out into Kingdra, I think. Yeah. Because at this point, there's no Azumarill, right? So we're free to just spam Muddy Water for the remainder of the game. And by the way, it looks like Raiku's staying in. Okay, so this is part of the reason I wanted a Tailwind, because now this sets up Pelipper to beat Raikou in the subsequent turns in this game as well. And now I can switch Pelipper out to conserve weather control. And it's just Heat Wave, perfect. Yeah, so Kingdra takes no damage from that. That's a crit too, wow. Oh, crit burn, wow. Lots of wild RNG in this. Okay, still fine. We know Raikou can't protect right now, right? So I honestly think it's fine to just Scald and Muddy Water. It would be nice to maintain weather control, but if I'm my opponent, I'm actually just staying in with Raikou right now. So let's just try to knock this out sooner than later. You could switch Heatran out into T-Tar as well, or just protect Heatran, try to wake up with Raikou and get a Light Screen or Snarl, or even a Volt Switch off here. Actually, for that reason, I think Pelipper out into Raichu may have been a little bit stronger of a play, because one win con right now is to get a quick wake up, but it's actually Raikou switching out, which I'm actually very happy to see. Cool. Because I think right now Heatran just really struggles against both of my Pokemon, so I get a ton of free damage onto the Tyranitar switch in. Now I can still switch out Pelipper in the subsequent turns, right? Okay, Muddy Water double connects, fortunately. That's absolutely huge. Fantastic. So much good damage on both Pokemon. The crit burn is a little bit scary because now there's Burn, Sand, and Life Orb. So the damage actually adds up pretty quickly on Kingdra. We don't knock out T-Tar there either. Do we get a burn? Nope. And it is going to be Earth Power into Pelipper. Okay, so he's reading a Raichu switch in there. That makes sense. I was actually nervous about Earth Power crit onto Kingdra, but I think now the game is just guaranteed. Because we still have 2 turns of Tailwind left. That was the first turn. Or I should say the second of 4. So it's pretty free for me to just Scald Tyranitar with Pelipper and then Scald Heatran. I don't want to switch out right now because I command so much offense, and if we bait out a Protect from either Pokemon right now, that should be GG. Neither Pokemon protects. Nice, okay, so that should be game over. Yeah, so the Venusaur adjustment was good. I just, like, didn't love it because, like, Sleep Powder is obviously pretty inaccurate, but we missed Sleep Powder on turn 1 and we were still in an okay position in this game. So, yeah. Yeah, this would just be a double KO. Perfect. And now Raikou can't really 4v1. It's obviously a good support Pokemon, but there's only so much you can do. But it has Burn to turn asleep, so it can't obviously wake up this next turn. But that's fine. At this point, we still have another turn of Tailwind, actually. That's pretty nice. I think ideally I just get full weather control again, so I can potentially double switch. We never saw Raikou's electric type attack, actually, right? That's pretty interesting. Raichu and Venusaur. Let's actually think this through. Right now, if I'm my opponent, I'm actually probably just clicking Snarl with the Raikou if you wake up. So I am actually down to just staying with both Pokemon because I don't think it's going to have Protect, and we don't need to risk missing any attacks right now, so let's just double Scald. Yeah, okay. There was like a slight chance Raikou could come back there, so I just wanted to make sure we didn't like throw the game away, but that was a really fun set. I definitely, I think, got a good amount of RNG, right, in game 1, like the play rough miss. And like I'm annoyed at myself for that one because like I could have put myself in a position where I didn't even need to rely on a play rough miss if I had just gone for Sludge Bomb. And we were pretty fortunate with Sleep Powder as well. Sleep Powder can be a pretty high variance attack because obviously it's only 75% accurate. So I don't love that, but it ended up working out quite well for us here. And even though we missed in game 3, I think generally we actually had a pretty good matchup because like Venusaur was really strong. And then like he felt forced to bring Tyranitar and Heatran, which makes a lot of sense. Like if you don't bring Heatran, I think Scizor has a much better time in the matchup. I do think one thing, adjustment that I was actually kind of expecting from him was Hitmontop over Heatran, because it gets access to Fake Out, right? That disrupts me, and then if you have Wide Guard, that stops me from like clicking Muddy Water as well, so I'm pretty happy that that did not come out. Just because Heatran, if anything, was more of a liability for him than anything. But that was a really, really fun set, and so yeah, glad it could go to 3 games. But shoutouts to Joe, and thank you to him for the games. Joe and I actually briefly chatted after the battle was over. By the way, you can find the perspective from his end on his YouTube channel. And yeah, his Jumpluff moveset was Rage Powder, Sleep Powder, Encore, and Protect. And so it's actually pretty interesting because Raichu and Jumpluff both speed tie. But yeah, like had I clicked Fake Out on turn 1 with Raichu in any of the battles, things could have gotten a little bit more awkward. You know, it's weird for him too because you don't have full confidence like clicking Encore on turn 1, for example. But I think that dynamic is pretty interesting. Overall, you know, game 3, I took some risks. They ended up paying off. You know, I don't love relying on lower accuracy attacks, But I felt like we were in positions where we could miss those attacks and still be okay in the battle, right? Like, for example, against the Azumarill, hitting both of those just completely opened the game up for us, but even if we had missed them, it'd be fine. You know, turn one we missed Sleep Powder against the Raikou, but that generally felt okay as well. Like, it was still completely winnable after then. So I think, you know, when you use lower accuracy attacks in VGC, you'd ideally want to use them in positions where you can afford to miss once or twice, right? And you don't need to absolutely rely on hitting it. And I think, like, ultimately, I wouldn't have really changed the Pokemon that I brought. You know, even if Joe, for example, brings the other two Pokemon that he didn't bring into the matchup, I don't think, like, Togekiss really adds anything or any value, especially since Raikou was so high priority for him. So that just doesn't make too much sense. And then I think Scizor was pretty interesting, but, you know, I tried it out in game 2, and because it was slower than Raikou under Tailwind, and because we had U-turn over X Scizor, like, the dynamic was a little bit awkward. And even though Scizor could maybe get a Swords Dance or 2 up, well, Reflect from Raikou makes things substantially more difficult as well. And I think, as you saw, Kingdra was brilliant for us in game 3 here. You know, like, the mistake I made in game 2 was just sacrificing Kingdra for no reason and not even thinking about the fact I could get one shot on a switch in. So, yeah. Ultimately, though, that was a super fun set. I think it was one where we had a slight matchup advantage, and I, of course, had some pretty good fortune as well. But huge thank you to Joe for the battles, and yeah, I think he made some really great adjustments, and overall, it was just really, really fun to play. So, once again, check him out, linked in the description below. Leave a like if you enjoy. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll see you all soon. All right, peace.